Manager for development projects for DART. So we're here for the Town of Addison's biannual community meeting. So thank you all for coming out. So I want to remind everyone, we are recording. This will be up online probably later this week, if not early Monday morning. So you can go back and check out anything we cover on there. Does anyone need Spanish translation? Good, because I didn't see our translator. It's going to be hard for me to do both. All right, so do a couple welcome introductions. We're going to cover the rules of engagement. I'll go over a project overview, project milestones. We'll have construction updates. Then we'll stop at that point and kind of go over anything construction related that you might have questions on. I'll provide a vehicle testing update, go over operating plan and fares, and then how you can stay informed with us. So we got several people from the Silverline team here. So as questions come up, then if I can't answer it on a broad overview, we'll have someone else come up to help me out. All right, so as I said, the meeting is being recorded. So we'll open it up for questions, comments, or concerns. At the end of each section, like I said, we'll have a section covering the overview of construction and then go over into testing. If you'll raise your hand, we don't have a microphone here, but it's a small room, so just raise your hand and we'll have someone come over to you. Speak out your question out loud, we'll answer it. If you don't want to ask a question out loud, we got you covered too. We can hand you a form, just fill it out, and at the end of the program, we'll go and answer those questions. So, sound good? All right, like I said, this is our summer biannual series. We got the city of Dallas in back in June. We're starting up this week here in Addison. If you have friends or someone that missed this meeting and you want to send them down Beltline, we'll be at Coppell tomorrow night, so I'll be doing the same song and dance, just covering a different section of the rail line. All right, so if you're not familiar with the Silver Line, it is a 26-mile rail alignment, traverses across 7 cities, covers 3 counties, and it runs east-west. So this is a big project for DART because it is our first project that does not bring people to or out of downtown Dallas. So primarily runs east-west. You're looking at starting out on the eastern section at the Shiloh Road Station in Plano, venturing through into Richardson, there at the City Line Bush and UT Dallas stations, continuing into Dallas at Mill Trail, which is basically just hop, skip, and a jump from where we are here. About a half mile away is the Addison station, which is connected to the Addison Transit Center. Keep going west, you have your next stop at downtown Carrollton. Keep going. We have the Cypress Water Station, which is technically in the city of Dallas, but it does surround Coppell. Following there, you have your DFW Airport North Station, which is your last stop before you actually get into the terminal. And then we end up terminating service at Terminal B at DFW Airport. You're looking at a 1-hour commute, including stops from Plano to the airport and back roughly. A couple things I'll point out, starting on the west. Silverline is providing connection points with several transit pieces, so then we're trying to increase mobility through the area. So here on the western station at DFW Airport North, you'll be able to connect to Tex Rail service to keep going into Fort Worth. You'll notice on the green right there, right here. So this portion right here is DCTA. They currently have service and it ends at the Trinity, sorry, not Trinity. Trinity Mills, thank you. Sorry, I've been all over I've been all over the area today. So they end service at Trinity Mills and they're looking to continue into downtown Carrollton. So once that's in place, you'll be able to connect, have DCTA service going into Louisville, Highland Village, and Denton. Continuing on to the east, here along the Red Line portion, at the 12th Street station in Plano, and the City Line Bush Station in Richardson, you'll also have connection points to where if you want to continue to go north, you can take that north all the way to the Parker Road Station via the orange or the red line, or go south into downtown Dallas or into South Dallas. This is how the Silver Line looks with the rest of our service plan. So you see the dotted line is Silver Line. You have the yellow and the green connecting through the middle, which is come in service basically through Carrollton into downtown Dallas. The orange line runs into right now through Irving, Las Colinas area into the airport, ending at Terminal A. And then you have the Tex Rail connection there at DFW Airport North. Coming counterclockwise still here, you have the dark blue which is the TRE service, which provides service from downtown Dallas to downtown Fort Worth. It pretty much runs along I-30. And then you have the red line that runs all the way from Parker Road Station to Plano down into Dallas as well, with additional service with the orange line. And then far east, you have the blue line that runs all the way into Garland and Rowlett. So benefits of the Silver Line. We're providing additional access to new possibilities. You know, the big thing everyone talks about is service to the airport, but you know, I know here specifically in Addison, we have a lot of excitement because you're going to have a lot of connectivity east and west. So connectivity going into Richardson, connectivity going into Coppell and Carrollton, and you're going to alleviate, you know, the need to drive to some of those key access points. That's also going to address mobility and system sustainability. So one of the things we want to do is continue to provide connection points to make transit another option for everyone in the area. One of the key pieces to that is a hike and bike trail system, which I'll get into a little bit here in just a minute. But I will point out that the hike and bike is separate from the Silver Line. We are the stewards of that project, but it is a project for the North Central Texas Council of Governments. We're just kind of overseeing it. Also, addressing growth. DFW continues to be one of the hottest areas of growth within the United States. So if you're not aware, by 2030, we're going to surpass Chicago for the third largest metropolitan population, right behind LA and New York. So, you know, we want to continue to provide transit opportunities throughout the area. It's also an economic catalyst. You know, our research with UNT tells us that as of right now, this isn't accounting for the future growth. Within a half mile of the rail corridor, you have access to over 200,000 jobs or educational opportunities. So that means you basically can, like I said, if you think of a half mile, basically like around a 10-minute walk, if you're walking a 20-minute mile, you're within a 10-minute walk of a job or going into university or junior college or some form of fashion. That's only going to continue to increase once the growth continues to come in through the Metroplex and with additional transit. Reliability. We want to continue to provide efficient travel and transit connectivity. This is just another spot that we can do that. You kind of saw on the transit network where we have additional rail lines. It's also going to connect to bus service. So it is going to provide that east-west corridor with additional travel and connectivity going north and south. And then lastly, safety and security. You know, we often get asked, you know, what are we going to do to ensure that, you know, the Silver Line doesn't have any issues? Well, again, our focus right now is to continue to create fantastic spaces. That's coming from the top down from our CEO and our board. And that's one of the things we want to do with Silver Line. You'll notice mostly every station has increased the possibility for transit-oriented development or already has transit-oriented development in place. So again, we want to create spaces where people want to live, work, and play. So we talked about the trail. This is the Cotton Belt Regional Trail. So you can see on the far east, running from Plano through following the alignment for the most part into Coppell through the airport here. It connects to existing trails and then goes all the way into the Watauga, Richland Hills, and then finally ending in downtown Fort Worth. The total trail capacity once the Silver Line portion is complete is 57 miles. So I was just on a tour today with some interns. I basically told them, if you guys get adventurous, you can literally bike or walk or jog from downtown Plano all the way to downtown Fort Worth if that's something you really wanted to do. Which I don't recommend in the summer.
You can take the train back.
There you go. So construction is being done in phases. Phase 1 is primarily done for the most part. That provided major infrastructure. So you're talking about bridges or connectivity points connecting the future trail system to existing trail. Phase 2 we just broke ground on, so we're working on that right now just outside the Addison station. We worked with the town to make sure we had everything wrapped up so we didn't have any issues for Kaboom Town. So I saw lots of people walking around asking questions. I was happy to talk about it even though I was just a guest, you know, enjoying the festivities. But again, everyone's excited about the trail. So phase 2 is going to focus on running from Plano into Carrollton. Like I said, we just broke ground on that and we're looking to wrap that up here in 27. Phase 3 runs from Carrollton all the way, basically the rest of the corridor into Tarrant County. So we're still working on additional funding and that'll work through COG and the cities involved there. So for Addison specifically, total trail distance is 1.8 miles of the trail with one pedestrian bridge. We all know that pedestrian bridge because it seems like every time we get together we talk about it. It's still not open, but we are working with the city of Dallas to get that going. You can see there, our start date for the Addison Trail was in June, so that's the portion I just mentioned that we're working on. We're looking to wrap up by March of 27, and then the Midway Road Bridge. So that's kind of, you can see there on the map, the connection points for the trail here in Addison for phase 2. Project milestones, we are testing, and we're testing in every city. It does vary. We did start end-to-end testing a few weeks ago, which means we're operating from the airport to Plano and back. I'll get into that a little bit in more detail here in just a minute. But we are testing throughout, so we're sounding train horns. You're hearing gates coming, you're hearing bells going off, and you're seeing gates coming down. So, you know, it is an active rail, and we'll keep working on that until we get ready to open, which will be sometime later this year. So 97% of guideway bridges are complete or completed. We got a couple that are tied into freight, so not necessarily passenger, so we're good there. 97% of sound and betterment walls are complete or completed. The ones that are missing there are basically along Knoll Trail and close to Waterview, so it doesn't really impact this area at all. 100% of at-grade rail crossings are complete. I always mention this, they're done, but it doesn't mean that we're done, because I know sometimes questions come up about them being rough or that, you know, just basically not a smooth drive over. So once we're complete, we'll go back in, lay down new concrete or asphalt, fix that up, and make sure it's a smooth ride as you're going through that crossing. And lastly, I always like to point out, so it is a double track alignment, which means we have track running east-west and west to east. There are a couple places where it is single track, but for the most part it is double track. So through that portion, we've laid down 281,800 linear feet, which equals about 53 miles of track. So you're talking about concrete tie-ins, thicker gauge track, which gives you a quieter ride and a smoother ride when you're on the train. Silverline Station progress. You can see here pretty much every station is for the most part complete. I say this all the time, I know, but Addison is my favorite station just because I love the way it looks with the clean lines and the etched in art. So only thing we have left to do there is do the electricity. I know we've had some questions come up with conduits and whatnot. Basically we're just waiting to install new ticket vending machines and new tap card systems. Once that's in place, we'll have the electricity running for the passenger information displays, and your station is good to go. So we're operating there. Two stations that we're still working on some. So is the 12th Street aerial station. That's actually a little bit higher now. Again, these are numbers that are as of June, beginning of June. So we're a little bit more farther along there, but we do have some work that doesn't affect Silverline. So that's the station I was talking about with the connectivity to the orange and the red. And then the other station is downtown Carrollton. It took us a while to kind of connect the track, which is why we started testing in this area a little bit later. But like I said, we made progress there, so we're also a little bit further along. The photo there, you can see that's the Cypress Water Station. So you can kind of see some of the finishes, different columns. The blue there kind of resembles some water running through, ties into some art features on both sides of the platform. All right, so we're going to go into construction. You can see our work here in downtown Carrollton. We've wrapped up a lot of the tie-ins here. This is the actual station itself. You can see the work from the overhead platform. The elevator shaft is installed. We're still waiting to get the elevator work going there. We do have the staircase in place. So this will be your connection point. Parking has been poured. I think we still have a little bit of parking left to go to 4 here. Is that right, Mike?
That's correct.
So, but for the most part, we got a lot of this complete. So you basically park here, walk over, take the elevator up if you need to connect to the Green Line station, which is the existing. So this Silverline station will have its own parking here in this area and this area. And then you have Green Line parking over here as well. This is the station. And then you see kind of the split here. This is the new rail alignment, and then freight as well. And then it kind of cuts off where we have a bridge where we go overhead, and then freight runs underneath. This is a look from the ground level at the Carrollton station. We're further along than this. This is a couple months old, but all the column claddings are in, the lighting work is in, so but you can see the decks have been poured, so we're making good progress here. All right, so Addison work, you can see that's really bright. You can see the work here on the Addison Rail Bridge. So this is complete, kind of matching with the existing roadway bridge. And then I have a photo where you can kind of see it from the street level here. So you can kind of see the aesthetic look of it. It looks really sharp. So companies going through as you're heading north to the Addison station. So Addison Road crossing, this is complete here. Gates are working, so I'll get into this in just a second regarding once we wrap up, but the crossing is complete, gates are working. We'll have to go in and kind of finish that out a little bit if it is a little bit rough. So we'll take feedback once, like I said, once we're completed with construction with all the crossings, and then the ones that need to be smoothed out will be. This is the Addison Station area itself. So we have the Addison Transit Center here. One thing, if you haven't noticed, we've converted this area, which used to be parking, into another bus bay. We've had additional service needs there. So we got buses coming in on this side and on this side for pickup and drop off. So we have the additional parking lot over here. You got the track alignment here with walkways on both sides. And then this is the trail work that I mentioned earlier that we just started a few weeks ago. And then eventually the trail will connect here and then run along here with a walking path right there. So photo of Addison Station at ground level. This is really pretty, y'all. I mean, we took this when we had a little visit with the town council, so I really like that photo. Spectrum and Quorum crossings. So like I said, these are complete as well. You got this here and this here. These are working, operational. They need to be smoothed out. They will be. So I'll mention one of the gate things here. So questions have come up about gates. Sometimes coming down, sometimes popping up, and then going back down. So these crossings are so close together that our radar system is picking them up to where they're basically sensing the train leaving the station, which is, so they're automatically set to go up a little bit once the train is stagnant. But once it senses movement, it'll start coming down. So basically, they're so close together, they're not having a chance to go all the way up, reset, and then come back down. So we're working through the timing mechanisms there. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. But all in all, I've been assured that we fixed the radar issue. It's just the timing mechanism to make sure that those gates stay down. This is the Dallas North Tollway bridges. So we got the rail bridge here, and then we have the pedestrian bridge here. As you can see, it's not open yet. We've done some walkthroughs, but Dallas hasn't cleared us. I know they want to have their safety signage up here, so we'll get to that. But you can see here, trail will continue from the station along here, across the pedestrian bridge, and then go along here this way. Continuing into Dallas, once you cross the tollway, you got the Knoll Trail station area. Again, the trail will deviate on over here on this side. Once you cross Knoll Trail, the trail picks up on the side here in between the station and the apartment complex, and then runs along here. One thing I always like to point out here for this station is there is no parking at the Knoll Trail station. So this is actually an old picture as well, because we were just out there. This has been already marked off to have like the kiss and ride drop off. So it's basically a circular drive. You drop your passenger off, give them a kiss, circle out, hop back out, and then walk around, and then board the train once they get to the station. So that's the setup there. We do have a handful of handicap spaces, but again, by and large, don't plan on parking at this. I actually got asked today, so what happens if we do park here? I said, well, more than likely you'll get a ticket, and if your car stays there for a while, you'll get towed. So this is this parking deck and the garage belongs to the office building. One thing I will note is we do have an office in here. Once we're operational, DART will determine who goes in there, but you'll have easier access to it, especially for our friends here that are here from Addison. If something comes up, you're not just waiting for us to basically respond from Dallas. Well, I guess technically we are in Dallas. From downtown Dallas. We can respond from North Dallas now. And here's a view of the station with some of the landscaping already in. You can kind of see the column claddings there. They're green and brown, kind of look greenish, eco-friendly, if you will, with backlight, and then you have the apartments in the background. All right, I covered overview, and we went over construction. Any questions regarding anything I just covered? Yes, sir, Dave.
A major issue that I've been concerned with about this. You just mentioned there's no parking spaces at no trail.
Yes, sir.
What about the bus bay connections, or possible bus connections at that location?
So right now there's a stop, probably about a half a block up near the Quick Trip. So we have looked at adding an additional stop. I don't know where we are with that because that road is so narrow. It's really hard for us to put a bus stop in right now. But there is a bus stop, a short walk from the station itself currently. I can't get into more detail because I don't really work with buses, so I apologize. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know how quickly the train will clear the crossings? I guess from time up to time down. I've heard concerns about traffic bunching.
So, like I said, that's one thing that we're working through right now, and it varies by crossing.
Okay.
I think one of the meetings I just sat in yesterday, I think they were talking about roughly 40 seconds. Roughly, is that right, John? Something like that. But again, it varies by crossing. So I can't tell you Quorum's going to be this versus Denton Drive and Carrollton's going to be this. So it's very, I will tell you as of right now, like I said, with Quorum and Spectrum being so close together, more than likely those will work on the same relay.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
ahead, Phyllis. Sorry.
I have two questions. First of all, what department will be there at the Knoll Trail?
We haven't determined that yet.
Okay. And also,
Right now it's Silverline Ops.
Also, it's going to be related to something.
Right now it's Silverline related. I don't know. We haven't determined who's going to be there yet permanently.
Okay. Also, right now, where the buses are, it's called Addison Transit Center. Do you know if the name Addison Transit Center will remain under the train sign?
Yeah.
Addison Station, or will it be all called Addison Station?
I know you and Trey had a conversation with that, and you and I have talked about it before. We're looking at that signage already. Probably when we do the station identification for the Addison station for Silverline, we'll look to update that.
So it's still to be determined then?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Some of the bike path crossovers, especially the one over the toll road, is there going to be any type of lights there or signage? You've got 3 lanes on either side with a lot of traffic, especially at rush hour. Is that crossing your own risk, or is there?
It will ultimately be up to the city, but it's looking like we're either going to have stop signs or crossings there at all the crossings, especially at the end.
Yeah.
To the city of Dallas or city of Addison?
So yeah, Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, so once you cross the tollway, Dallas is that side and Addison's on the other side.
My other question is, Knoll Trail, why would you put a station there? A half mile from Addison, no parking.
John?
It was actually in our original 1983, it was part of our
Sorry, guys, hold on.
1983 service plan. And we had 3 stations in Dallas, and the city of Dallas decided they wanted to eliminate 2, but they wanted to keep 1, and this is the one they wanted to keep.
So it's Dallas's decision.
Right. It just seems like a waste.
It's not a residential limit, it's on the other side of the tollway, so maybe that's enough.
I guess there are apartments over there on the upper right. People can walk.
Yeah, we have, those are apartments right there on the other side of Knoll Trail. There's apartments as well. And then all along, basically, once you come this way down Knoll Trail, it's nothing but apartments or townhomes. So there's a lot of residential in that area.
Gotcha.
So, and like John said, we have 3 stations. Probably the busiest one was supposed to be around Coit, and that's one that the city of Dallas took away.
So I have a question on the
Yes, sir.
trail, so the Continental Trail. Is the plan design of that done, or is there any opening for a change of route? Because there's been a lot of conversation informally on council about that.
So the design is complete. If you want to do changes, I know we had this conversation in Coppell last year. That's something that the city would have to expense. Am I right?
Right.
So there you go.
So going along just west of the tollway, there's a row of trees, and it's supposed to go on the north side of those trees onto the concrete and existing driveway. I don't know if you guys.
McIver Street? Is that McIver Street you're talking about?
I'm not
But
sure.
there's a part where it leaves the right of way and is on a a small street that without a lot of traffic. It's going to be striped to hold the bicycle, have a bicycle lane within it.
Okay, because the other side of that is like the same sort of drainage ditch situation. as-
Yeah, there was no room in the right of way. That was the city of Addison worked with the trail designers to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Will the parking at Addison Station be restricted to daily parking, or can people park there for like
So,
a week?
I'll get into that later, but right now, it's the status quo that we have on parking right now. It's, you can park, right now as long as you're using the service, and then you're, parking at your own risk. But I'll get into that here in the next one. Anybody have any other questions regarding this? All right. All right, so the Silverline vehicles themselves, state of the art, low maintenance. They are diesel powered. They're not electric. They don't have the catenary wire. So they're not like our light rail system. It is a heavy rail locomotive. They do meet strict EPA standards. So, about as green as you can get for a locomotive train in that regard. They're seating for 230. I think overall it's 330 once you add standing room passengers as well. You have overhead storage. You can kind of see there. There are bike hooks throughout. That's really important because there is level boarding throughout the entire train. It's not like the light rail system right now, which something that always comes up is if you have a bike or someone's in a wheelchair or a scooter or someone's pushing a stroller, you're kind of confined to the seat car. And you get a lot of those folks in there, you kind of feel cramped. So we have bike hooks throughout the vehicle to where we can kind of sparsel that out. There is additional, the seating is multi-directional, so you kind of have seating here that faces each other with a table. You have seating that faces forward, you have seating that faces back, and then you have the flip-up seats that kind of, I guess, face sideways, if that makes any sense. Internal, external CCTV cameras, both inside the vehicle and outside the vehicle for police monitoring. And last thing I'll include is we do have an area with a large luggage compartment, so you can store big boxes, big suitcases, even electric bikes that can be wrapped up and held in place. So lots of storage capacity there. Since this is an actual locomotive vehicle, one thing I always like to point out too is we will have fare enforcement and DART PD presence on a rotational basis like normal, but these trains will operate with an engineer basically driving the train forward and back, so running the pathway east and west, and then we'll also have a conductor that'll be checking tickets and then walking up and down the train, just assisting passengers with any questions or concerns they may have. So as I said, we're testing in all 7 cities, testing vehicles. Like I said, it's simulated service, so we got stops at each station. There is no passenger pickup or drop off. If you're at the Addison Transit Center, you're welcome to stand by on the sides and check it out. Please don't come on the platforms because, like I said, it's a testing area, and even though the station is complete, we are still doing work in the area. We are testing everything. So, as I said before, we're not just testing the vehicles themselves. Yes, the drivers need hours behind the wheel to kind of pick that up, so the engineers need that time. But we're testing everything from the lights to the gates to the bells to the train horn, to the wheels, to the track validity, to the speed of the train. All that stuff is being factored in as we do testing. So if we do need flaggers, we'll have them out when necessary. There are no quiet zones while we're in testing. And the way a quiet zone works is basically we've worked with each city and the FRA to put in additional safety measures to ensure quiet zones throughout for the most part, all the alignment. There are a couple sections that doesn't have it, but all through Addison there is. So once those quiet zones are in place, you won't hear the train horn unless there's something on or near the track that will impede its path. So right now, since we're in testing, you will hear the train horn. And I know I've had my share of concerns with residents calling, whether it's the city and then y'all sending them to us, or calling us directly, and we're kind of explaining that. The good news is that we've worked with each individual town, including Addison, so we've done everything we can do on our part. We've turned it over to the FRA. They're checking everything out. We're just waiting on clearance to activate those quiet zones. And I've been told that that should happen before the end of the month. So before the end of July, those quiet zones should be in effect. You will still hear the bells, as the crossing is coming through. But the Silverline EMF, it's the equipment maintenance facility. This is located in the city of Plano. 3201 Technology Drive. It's kind of in their tech corridor, if you will. You go down Technology, it's almost near the end of the road. You can see here, so what DART did was we purchased a building there where we'll house operations, but in the right-of-way, we were building additional buildings to house the vehicles, maintain the vehicles, service, and clean them. So we're adding 2 new buildings, like I said, to wash and maintain. There'll be a canopy structure for fuel dispensing, an underground fuel tank, and then there'll be a storage yard for the unused trains. This was huge for us because we have direct access to the right-of-way and the rail. So in case there's ever an issue that requires maintenance or assistance, we can put a train on there and get it to where it needs to go right away, as opposed to having it come from a different location and causing a little delay in that. You can kind of see here, this is technology right here. This is the building that we purchased. You can see here the work that's going on. The train is housed right there. This is an older photo. This is a new photo actually from Monday this week. You can kind of see, this is from the vantage point of the Shiloh Road Station. So you can kind of see the train with the structure of one of the buildings being built right there. So this basically, over here, you have a spur that you can come from the station and then go directly down the rail line into the service area to get maintained. So our operating plan includes daily service from DFW Airport Terminal B to the Shiloh Road Station with stops at each of the stations in between. This is tentative, so we're looking at running from 4 a.m. roughly to about 12:30. That means first train out of DFW Airport at 4 a.m. Trains run every 30 minutes in both directions during peak weekday service. Peak weekday is roughly looking at 6 to 9 a.m. or 4 to 7 p.m. All other times during the week and on the weekends will run once an hour. So you're talking about one train going east and then one train going west. One of the benefits too is we do have the ability to adjust our train schedule for special event service. So for example, I know it was kind of a cluster getting out last week for Kaboom Town. We'll be able to have a couple trains next year. We'll just have to coordinate with y'all to be able to do that, make plans accordingly, and then get people to shuttle out from parking at different stations. So hopefully that helps alleviate some of the traffic in the area. And the adoption of this operating plan will be decided by the DART board. I think it's probably going to be part of the August meeting as well. So, fares typically come up for discussion. We did have a fare structure increase in March of this year. I won't get into all that. Basically, a Silver Line fare will cost you $3 one way. If you're going to the airport, that's all you really need. So you're looking at $6 round trip. If you're parking at Addison, going to the airport, for a weekend in Vegas and then coming back, you buy your other $3 ticket, you're covered for $6 there. So if you're going up and down the corridor east-west, it's a $6 trip. So all day. So $3 one way, $6 all day. Parking. So right now our focus is on getting operational, getting trains running, and getting people on trains. So we've looked at, we're looking at different methods right now to how to handle long-term parking, to your question, sir. So that'll probably come once we're operational. I venture to guess sometime early next year, we're gonna look to have something in place. But right now, like I said, it's gonna operate like it does now. So if you're parking and using our service, you're able to use our lot, and then you're just parking at your discretion. Like I said, if you're heading out to Vegas for the weekend, you wanna leave your car there, then you're good to do so. You won't get towed. So we will look at different measures for each station. I know Trinity Metro does parking where they do like a plate scan. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. But we're looking at different agencies to see how they operate, what they charge, and then the services they'll provide with that. So this is the number of spaces at each available station. Addison is 300. And again, it's 32 minutes from Addison to DFW Airport. So our community outreach, we have regular conversations with each individual city and town. Mary and I become good friends, trading emails and talking on the phone, anything that comes up, whether it's a positive or a resident concern. So we're constantly talking there. We are expanding our community presence, so we meet with HOAs, we meet with apartment complexes. Someone asked earlier about why the station was there. We've met with every apartment complex that's near the rail station. So, and that's as a Silver Line team, we go out there and address any questions that come up, whether it's testing or additional service. So we're covering that. Civic groups, HOAs, schools is another big one. Any school that's within a half mile of the rail corridor in any city, we've already met with their staff to go over how testing was going to work, and we're following up with each one of those schools individually to go over how it'll work once we're in operational services. We want to get not just in front of the staff, but we want to get in front of parents and kids. So we're doing meet the teacher nights, we're doing PTA meetings, you name it. We're trying to be as many places as we can so everyone's aware that we're going to be running trains here pretty soon. Lastly, like I said, once we get ready to open, we'll work with each individual city and come up with a good plan to share. One thing that we try to do is basically if we have social media that's important, then I'll get that to Mary and then she deciphers how she wants to use that. But we want to continue to share the same message coming, whether it's coming from the town of Addison or from Dart, people are hearing the same thing. And that's what we want to continue to do. We do have a rail safety program. This is primarily tied to schools. So you can kind of see here, we have handouts in English and Spanish. We have a video that we play. Our community relations team, if you didn't meet Portia when she was outside, she covers Addison. So anything that comes up Dart related that you have a question about that's not Silverline, please check with Portia on the way out. She can probably get you an answer. Silverline is all me or someone from our team. But we do have someone from our community relations staff that will come out and do the rail safety program. They got certification for it, and they'll go over all the ins and outs of what we do regarding rail safety. So like I said, primarily done for schools, but if that's something that someone thinks it's a need for a business or a civic group, we're happy to do that as well. Lastly, how to stay informed, visit us at dart.org/Silverline. You can email silverline@dart.org. That comes directly to me and everyone else on the team. Give us a day or two to kind of get your concern. We'll respond back to you and then we'll get you an answer within a week. I will point out sometimes we have things that come up, whether it's like an overturned porta potty or we have graffiti or something like that. You can send that in here directly or contact the hotline. So we do ask that you give us a little bit of time to address that. So once it's called in, we'll look into it. Typically, if it doesn't require us having to access the rail, we can usually take care of it relatively quickly. If it does require us having access to the rail, we have to work with track alignment and all that stuff. So we simply just ask that you give us about 2 week turnaround on that. So once we receive the request, we'll look into it. If we need track alignment, we'll get that, we'll close it down or whatever we need to do, we'll address it. I know recently we had something come in regarding graffiti on the bridge. That's already taken care of, so it's been cleaned up. All right, I covered testing operations and how to basically stay in touch with us. Any questions regarding any of that?
Are you planning any meetings after the line becomes operational? Next biannual would be January, and you would be running.
So typically, since the biennial meetings have focused on construction progress, we won't, but we're going to do like a big blitz leading up to opening. We'll have, before we open that opening weekend, we'll have station parties. We're going to do an all-out media blitz. We're going to, like I said, work individually with each town to see what other things we can do so everyone is aware that we're going to be opening up for service and then how it'll operate. So that's the goal right now.
And the ribbon cutting will probably be in Addison.
Not probably, it will be. So we'll let the cat out of the bag there. It is a center point. So yes,
On a
Phyllis.
similar note to what the gentleman just asked, all those contact things, will those be the contact emails and phone numbers after you come live? Or would it be
What,
through doors?
You mean like through our mailing list right now?
No.
Everything that you
Contact.
Oh.
If we see graffiti, 6 months into.
So no. So good question, Phyllis. So once we're operational, all this is being handled by our contractor AWH. So we'll send new information out because then at that point, once we're operational, Dart is responsible for a lot of the cleanup of that area. So we'll have different numbers, and we'll definitely share that both on our website publicly and then with each individual city and town as well. So they're aware of who to contact if something comes up.
So this is only during construction?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask, in other streets where I've been on transit, especially because we're talking like 30 minutes to an hour, before the next train, will there be a convenient app or text service or something to track exactly what station the train is at presently in live time, or is that something we're going to rely on the timetable?
No. So if you're not familiar with it, we have the Go Pass app right now.
Okay.
So
It'll be integrated with that.
that?
so it'll be integrated with that. It's actually one of my jobs, so we're looking to have that done sometime in September. So we gotta set an opening date and then get a schedule in place before we can start incorporating that. But everything will be in there, so if there is a delay, it'll be notified and updated through the app.
And the digital signs on the station.
Yep, and the passenger information display is on the station as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you don't have an app or a cell phone with you, will there be a countdown clock? So to know.
I don't know if it'll be a countdown clock, but it'll give you the updated time that the train is either is coming. Yes,
Not just the scheduled time, but the actual.
correct. Yes, it'll update.
So you're still on schedule for revenue service January at the latest?
January at the latest.
Okay.
Yes. We don't like to say that.
Not December.
So you mentioned bike hooks on the train. Something hanging from the ceiling that you hang your bike on?
Yeah. So very similar to what we have on the light rail right now.
I'm not familiar with that.
So there is basically a weighted hook to where it goes through like the spoke of one of the tires, and it holds it in place.
How many of those would be on a train?
I don't know, Tom.
Because you could have, so, and the termination of the train at the airport, is there going to be bike parking, or do you know anything about that yet?
I don't believe there are bike racks now.
There will be bike racks at most of the stations. I don't think the terminus station will have it.
I can see
At
that
at Terminal B, but the DFW
Yeah,
North
DFW
station
North does have bike
will
racks,
have it.
but the terminal doesn't. Last time I was at the terminal, it did not.
This is kind of a all general dark question. So, is there a fair differential consideration for riders from non-participating cities?
No, there's not.
But if you're riding like Tex Rail or DCTA, there's an additional fee for them as well as for us to ride regionally. As
Yeah,
opposed to
so
locally.
so to John's point, if you were connecting at downtown Carrollton to grab DCTA, your DART ticket won't work on them, on their system, and vice versa. So you can buy a regional pass for the day if you're going to do some of that travel like that, and that's a different charge. But we don't differentiate if you're catching the train in Addison or you're catching if someone's driving from Louisville and parking at the Addison station, it's still going to be the same.
You wouldn't do.
Any other questions? All right. Well, that's all our presentation. So thank you for joining us. We're going to hang out for a bit. So if you have additional questions, we're happy to answer.